Maybe Cuomo, one of Hillary's buddies. I have it in my notes, Cuomo BDS crap. What does that mean? Not Benjamin Dixon Show. BDS, the divestment movement, he issued an executive order in New York, I believe it was yesterday, indicating that if any business or entity is boycotting Israel as a part of the BDS movement, the state of New York will boycott them. Interesting fact, in 1985, his father, former governor Mario Cuomo, was in favor of the divestment movement, which is very similar to what's happening now, the divestment from South Africa movement because of apartheid and the mistreatment of Black South Africans. So it's very, the juxtaposition between father and son is very interesting in this instance. You know, we have the father who did was not necessarily popular. I mean, you know, he took a stand on divestment, on, you know, not doing business with entities that would do business with apartheid South Africa. And we can weigh the effectiveness, but divestment was a really large movement that happened in the late 70s, mid 80s or so, and so on, that ultimately helped, among other things. I'm not going to say that it was what led to it, but it is one of the strategies and tools that people in other countries were able to place on the South African government that ultimately led to things like the release of Nelson Mandela, free elections, the end of apartheid, and so on. Again, not saying that was it, but it was one of the tools used by people. So folks have tried to adopt a similar strategy here in the States with divestment, for boycott Israel strategy. It's been characterized as something that's anti-Semitic, that is just pro-violent terrorist Palestinians. That is absolutely not true. You know, people who believe in stuff range the gamut no matter what it is. And there are a lot of people, Anya Kalik, if you guys follow her and the Electronic Intifada, you'll see some really great pieces about this type of stuff. There is reasoning, rationalization for why people are putting pressure for businesses and other entities to boycott relationships with Israel, primarily because of the way that Palestinians are treated, the illegal settlements, the human rights atrocities that have been well documented by the UN. I mean, the state of Israel is like the only country outside the US that can continue to violate US regulations and orders and nothing happens to it. And you continue to have expansion of illegal settlements. You continue to have, you know, the degradation, denigration, and oppression of a people. And the international community is like, that's really bad. You should stop. This is a strategy that people have decided to use. So to have the mayor, well, not the mayor, I'm sorry, have the governor of one of, you know, of a major state in the United States, of leading one of the major cities in the world, you know, that has one of the major cities in the world, come down so swiftly against anyone's exercise of their freedom of speech, you know, because money is speech, right? So if I don't want to support, if I want to boycott, that's my right, that's my speech. To have someone allow international politics, the affairs of another country, influence what happens with citizens locally in the United States of America, that's a serious problem for me. And Andrew Cuomo needs to really go check himself. Like, seriously, I don't really care. I mean, and it's not to say that there are a lot of people who are American, you know, American Jews, people, there are even people in Israel who agree that there needs to be a more balanced approach overall. And again, this is not even an issue of saying, like, you know, other stuff that people may point to is okay, but this is saying people need to start acknowledging that what has been happening and the trajectory that Israel has been on, at least since 1967, has not been all right. Okay. We go back and look at all the different treaties broken, all the different negotiated UN settled resolutions. I mean, countless UN resolutions have been absolutely disregarded. It's a problem, and people are putting their money where their mouth is in some ways. You know, we saw there was a really huge demonstration outside the AIPAC convention not too long ago. Bernie Sanders gave a really strong from a U.S. mainstream politician perspective, right? Basically saying that he supports Israel. And again, there are people who are proud of their country, they're proud of their heritage, but they're saying this is not right. We need to do better. We should be doing better. You would think that a people who were themselves oppressed, right, and required help in resettlement would be more sympathetic and understanding to those around them versus things have been happening, particularly under a second Netanyahu regime. Bibi is And for people who don't understand why someone like me cannot support Secretary Clinton, her strong statements, one of her biggest supporters, Sabin, is a huge, his only issue is Israel. She wrote an anti-BDS piece last summer, I believe it was like last July or whatever, about BDS and why BDS needs to be wiped out. Basically, these attempts to stamp out freedom of speech is problematic. And these attempts to hide and cover up and disregard human rights atrocities and violations should not be tolerated, particularly in this so-called great democracy of the United States of America. So that's my little spiel on the BDS stuff.